My presentation today is on pre-weaning mortality. I'm taking a little bit different angle, possibly. I've been a veterinarian for 32 years, and I think from my very beginning I've done battle with this subject. And so I've developed some philosophies, some ways of being a veterinarian, I guess, that I would like to express. And maybe they're a little bit differently, but I approach the problem possibly a little bit different than some people. If you were to Google the word obesity, you would find about 90 million results. I think that's interesting because I think that's about the number of obese Americans is about the same as Google would report. If you Google the words obesity prevention, 6 million results. My point there is that lots and lots of obesity and tons of information, more information every year, but unfortunately obesity rates are climbing. If you Google the words pre-weaning mortality, you'll find causes. If you put that word in there, it's 49,000. Interestingly, there's about 4 times the ways to prevent than there is causes. So it would appear to me that in the area of pre-weaning mortality, there's no lack of information out there to access. And this might be a little not true, but I remember thinking about this subject in the 80s, and I really can't think of nothing new that's been added to the subject. The same things that I was thinking about in the 80s, to me, it's all the same things. There's no new technology, no new devices. It's the same issues. But in spite of all that, today I consider it a billion-dollar problem. 1 out of 5 pigs does not survive the farrowing house. That's on an average farm. Less than average farm, it's about 1 out of 4 pigs do not survive their farrowing house experience, either as a stillbirth or as a pre-weaning mortality. This is by far the largest swine welfare problem on our farms. It's basically ignored by our industry, and that might be a good thing or a bad thing. But as a veterinarian, I've often thought, you know, I'm the doctor that shows up to the farm, and I'm the only person that can speak up for the pig. And so I have to come up with a way to address this problem as a veterinarian, because to me, it seems like on a lot of farms, this problem is ignored. So let me tell you some things about myself and where I come from. This is a picture of my farm where I was born. My father was a very intense individual. We had about 30 cows, and they would start calving around March 1st. Well, in Nebraska, it's very cold, can be wet, and my father insisted that we check these cows every 2 hours around the clock while they were calving. And even as a young boy, because of the intensity of this process, I remember getting up in the middle of the night and being involved in this endeavor. And when I got back to the house, I was always subjected to the same questions, and those was, is there a cow separate from the herd? Is there a cow with fetal membranes sticking out? Is there a cow with feet sticking out? Is there both feet there? Is it a backwards presentation? And if the calf was on the ground, then the questions would be, is the cow trying to dry it off? If the calf was up, well then, is it trying to get onto a teat? And then my dad would ask me stories about the udder quality. And eventually, if all those answers were affirmative, he would start asking me, is the calf in a good spot? Is he out of the wind? Is he not in a mud puddle? And so if all these questions came out okay, we didn't have to go back out. But if there was a problem, we went back out. Well, what was my dad trying to accomplish? in his own way, he was trying to get the calf on the ground unstressed. So not a delayed birth. In order to do that, you have to check him about every 2 hours, possibly more often than that in some cases. Colostrum intake, I don't know if my dad understood that, but I do know that he understood that a calf's got to get milk. And so on our family farm, that process was very aggressive. He also understood that a cow has to lick off her calf, has to encourage the calf to get up, and has to somewhat make sure that the calf gets onto a teat. And ultimately, the calf, because he's a young, small animal, has to be in an environment suitable for him. So, what does this have to do with pigs? Well, this is the philosophy that I've approached my practice of veterinary medicine, because I think this intensity all happens in a short amount of time. And if I can successfully persuade people to do this intensity, it's all over as soon by 24 hours. All the hard work is over. You could relax and you can go another 21 days and sell your pigs. But all of this hard work is up front. And if you don't do the hard work up front, then your life gets very, very difficult. Because essentially, if you can get a pig to be born unstressed, if you can get colostrum in him, if you can get him on a mother that loves him and his siblings don't take all of his milk, and then if you have a comfort zone that's suitable for him, he's going to thrive. That pig is basically bulletproof. So, how do you achieve that? Well, I think as a general rule, we as scientists give logical arguments. We give how-tos, SOPs, manuals up the wazigi on how you accomplish this in the farrowing house. And relating it back to the subject of obesity, I don't think more information is going to help, because all of the information is there. And so I feel that when I go to a pig farm as a veterinarian, my main job is to connect emotionally with the people that are taking care of the pigs. And I have to come up with enough emotional persuasion so that they can see the needs of a baby pig, and they can connect with that emotionally, and that can motivate them to change the way they look at this whole process, because largely it's a mindset problem. So how do you connect emotionally with people in the farrowing house so that you can make these stories about the birthing and the nursing of a newborn pig? Well, in cattle country, I often use my cattle story. I've literally told that story hundreds of times, trying to connect my childhood experience with what they need to do on a daily basis. But oftentimes, if you don't have cattle people, maybe they've had animals at home that they've given birth to, and you can talk about that and try to connect with that story. Ultimately, I think one of the home run stories that I would like to connect with you emotionally is that everybody in this room at one point in time was a wee little baby trying to get through a birth canal, and unless somebody helped that process, I doubt if your mother would have been as successful as she was. And at some point in time, somebody took you, the little baby, and helped you get started on a tit and helped you nurse. And that might have been your grandmother or a nurse or whatever. But that whole process was done with a great deal of deliberation and intensity. And I don't think it happened accidentally. For some reason in the pig house, there's a philosophy that giving birth and getting onto a teat should be something that animals do naturally. You can do it naturally, but you'll have survival of the fittest, and only about 3 or 4 or 4 out of 5 will survive. In other words, there's a lot of attrition. So, what are my expectations? This is your next speaker. I actually took this picture Friday on his farm. Over here on the right-hand side, his born alive for the week was 13.8. The stillbirths were 2.3%. Pre-weaning mortality for the week was 4.6, and he'll be weaning 13.2 pigs for that week. This is actually a 5,500 sow farm. I think Steve, who's going to come next, is going to tell you what he does on this farm. But this kind of performance is actually the kind of performance statistics that he's achieved with he and his team over the last 3 years. So my bottom line message, in order to change the mindset of people about this huge problem in our industry, we've got to somehow affect people emotionally so that they're willing to make changes in what they do.
We'll talk about the farm. It's really just a simple kind of slideshow with not too much in it. But this is what we call Pigeon Ranch. It's a 5,500 sow operation. We bring the weaned pigs in, weaned gilts, the replacements at 70 pounds. And we farrow an average of about 280 sows a week. We have been going since 2009, and we're just starting to farrow. Actually, before I left, the 8th parity sows are starting to go. So we had 2 at 14. I'm very curious as to what's going to be going on and how they're going to continue on. As Larry was saying, as we worked together on this, we talked about pigs being born unstressed. I think the key thing that we have there, when you talk about pigs being born unstressed, is 24/7. At our unit, we do 24 hours, around the clock, 7 days a week. Those girls are watched over. The sows will come into the crates. Of course, they'll be cleaned, disinfected, and ready to go. And as we bring them in, those sows will be overlooked, and every 20 minutes they will be checked. To the point that if we have our guy who is taking care of those sows, if he's on lunch break, somebody's in there taking care of them. We overlap our schedules. We have, on this unit, we have 22 people that are working there, and then myself, who sleeps in the office, as Larry will attest to. But we have one guy that comes in, and he actually takes care of the feeding. He comes in at 8 o'clock, and he'll work till 6. We have a nighttime guy who comes in at 3 o'clock, and he works till 2 o'clock in the morning. Another nighttime guy that comes in at 7 o'clock and works till 6. And then we have the daytime scheduled people coming in at 5:30, and we'll usually work for about 3 to 3:30. So we have overlap. There is always one person, at least. This person can ask for assistance, but all he does is monitor those sows that are farrowing. He, in doing that job, he will temp sows. If we have a sow that within 12 hours has not eaten, then we're going to temp her. Now, as you go through the birthing process, you know that there's going to be many times that they won't eat for 12 hours and nothing will be wrong. But we're going to temp those and see, and we're going to be looking at those every 12 hours to make sure. We get sows up once a day, and then and look at them and are checking on them at all times. But as soon as they go into the farrowing house, they're monitored. Here we've got Alejandro. He's assisting a sow who had a mummy, and these guys, as you talk to them, I like to let them tell me what they think's best. They teach me so much. They say, after a stillborn, after a mummy, that's when they have more stillborns. So they learn the tricks to what it takes to have less. And we will assist the sows as needed. If that sow within 20 minutes has not had a pig, they're going to be manually checking her to make sure that there's not any sows that we're not having problems with any pigs being hung up. Here's another thing we do. We dry off the pigs. Every single pig that is born, we don't want that pig stressed, so we're trying to dry it off, and we're getting that pig to the teat as soon as we possibly can. If you look at the environment that they're in, you've got to balance that environment for the sow and for the baby pig in getting where you want it. You have the light, but that whole crate area is not going to be the exact temperature you want it. So drying that pig off just gives him that much more of a chance. It is amazing to me how many pigs are born with a heartbeat, and yet you look at them and you think they're still. You pick that pig up, you're drying it off, and just that massaging of that pig and drying it off gets it going. And if not, there's a lot of things that we can do to help get them going. If we've got a heartbeat, we've got a chance. Here's the pigs as they've just been born. We try to utilize every nipple. When the sows are farrowing there, usually before they're farrowing, we've counted the teats and we mark it on the card. We normally will load that sow up to one more pig than she has teats. Now, we feel as you look at that udder and that underline comes like this and it goes back up, we've had some problems with about after 7 to 10 days, those last two teats, if they're on the upward part of the udder in them producing, they seem to shut off for us. But so we don't count anything that goes up there. But you'll have some sows that have an underline that's pretty darn straight, and those teats are still coming down, and we have no problem milking those. With gilts especially, we're gonna utilize, if we're ever short on pigs, which really doesn't seem to be a problem too often, then but we're gonna put a pig on every single teat and try to push that. Used to be when I first started in the business, we felt like we had a lot of mastitis. We really don't see that in this stuff. We do an awful lot of moving litters from time to time. If we've got a sow that has a tight udder, then we'll take those pigs, and some fur pigs, especially if they're smaller, move them off and get some good aggressive pigs and just swap that litter out. Works very well. They massage the udder, they get that going, they pull out the milk, and it is amazing how much these girls can milk. Colostrum intake. You know, I grew up on a sheep farm, had a few pigs on the side, some cows, and it was amazing to me how important that was. And this got brought back to me many times as we'd see these weak lambs that would maybe in Colorado be froze to the ground, still alive. You'd work on them, get them up, and if you took some milk that you'd milked out of the animals, they'd do okay. But if you took colostrum, you did well. So what we do is, as you can see, when a sow really gets to farrowing, if we're not drying off those pigs, they're not really at the place they need to be to get the colostrum. So they need some help. They need to get to that teat. Drying is a help. Another thing we do is we use hot boxes, is what we call them. As the sows are farrowing, those sows will be monitored, as you say, all the time. We will take the pigs, and if we, when she's over halfway done, because when you think about a sow that's laying down, how much of her udder is actually exposed to the baby pigs? It's half. So you may have a sow that has 14 teeth, but she's only got 4 that are open to those baby pigs. So as soon as we get past that 7 or so, we take the good pigs that have a full belly. You'll find some of your pigs are big enough that they look big enough, they should be okay, but they don't have a full belly. And so we'll take those, the ones that have a full belly, put them in the hot box, and give the other ones a chance to nurse. And we'll keep them in that box for an hour, and then we'll switch it out. Another thing we found as I say, you've got some pigs that are born weaker, and you've always got some of these sows that as they're during labor, they start oozing out colostrum. So we'll milk those girls. We'll put that in a bottle, a 250 milliliter bottle, and we'll take that and we'll give it to the weak pigs. Small and weak pigs will get that. I had a new guy starting. We actually were going to be starting up a new farm, so we had a couple extra people, and as this new guy started, we gave him that job. And as I was walking through the farrowing house, I got through to some 5-day-old pigs. And this 5-day-old pig came running up to me. And I had to go tell my guy, you know what? You're going too far with that milk. He's counting on you rather than the sow. So we had to switch that around. But it is amazing how much that colostrum, it's just like, it's probably better than any injection we can give those pigs. A good family. How do we put the pigs in a good family? Well, we sort them according to size. One thing that person is, the person that watches over the litters that are farrowing, he will be, as I say, that is his priority, his only job. If help is needed elsewhere, we pull it elsewhere. As we do overlap, they can do other jobs with checking the feed throughout the night or things like that. The other person can, but there's one person totally committed to that. This person, as the sows are farrowing, a lot of time you have the smaller, dinkier pigs born, and we will move those and even them out immediately. Because the chance of a small runt getting a teat when you've got the big, healthy pig is pretty minimal. We've got to get them fed. We've got to get their bellies full. After you get that pig started on a teat, you get him strong enough, it's amazing what he can do. As Larry said with Bulletproof, I won't tell my guys that they need to, after 24 hours, not pay attention to them, but they're pretty tough. They really will be aggressive and go. Comfort zone. We have a crate that I really am impressed with. This crate, these bars move up and down as the sow goes. It's actually, our crates are 7.5 by 5.5. It gives that sow room enough to lay down. We use PIC genetics. It is amazing to me to see how not just this breeding group, but all sows as we deal with them, how much we've worked and fought for mothering ability. And sometimes we take the crate and we take away some of her natural ability and what she can do for mothering ability. I've timed some of these sows, and we've had 3 to 4 minutes to lay down. And when you've got a mother that's doing that, it is amazing. You don't have to worry about the lay down when you're getting that kind of a mother ability. So the crate, we have to give them the opportunity to fit into that crate too. It needs to be bigger. The other thing we've got is in the area where the baby pigs are laying, we've got an under mat. We run a mat, a piece of PVC plastic under, and and when the pigs are first born, we do put a rubber mat for those pigs. We use a little drying agent there. And so as those pigs are getting used to that, and at first they'll use that for comfort and for warmth, and then we have that other mat so that we don't have drafts coming up, and those pigs are very comfortable. We look at the pigs and we say, okay, where are they laying? What are we doing? The situation we've got, we do have heat lamps here, and we run dimmer switches on those so that we will go according to the temperature in the room and keep that where we need it to be. An interesting thing during the summertime, as we first started this barn, we said, well, we need to shut off the heat lamps during the summertime when you get that extreme heat. And we've got 17 rooms with 56 crates per room. And we took 9 rooms and we shut the heat lamps off as those were farrowing, and just after 5 days. And then the other rooms, we left them on. And we actually did better with our death loss where we left the lights on. Those dimmer switches, we got them to where they'll go down all the way to 30% of what that heat lamp will do. And they're attracted to that light. They like being there. So we like to see some good, healthy pigs. As we've had the success, we've had quite a few tours through our barns, and it's been kind of amazing some of the comments we get. We've got some people that have gave us comments like, how do you do your math in Broken Bow, Nebraska? And I tell you, we do it the same way as everybody else. We are very proud of what we're doing. It's still sometimes kind of hard to say we're number one, because I don't want to be bragging. I want to continue to do the very best we can, but I'm proud of my guys and what they've done. I've got a wonderful crew, and we kick out quality pigs. We're going at 21 days, and for our weaning average, and our pigs are going out at 14.5 pounds. We have, and when we do our records, as you saw the death loss there, we're running about a 4.3 on mortality. That includes any pigs that go to the nursery and are ended up being rejected there. And, we know that we don't get paid on pigs that go out of the nursery. We get paid on pounds out the finisher door, and we really work together as a team. That's one thing that I've been impressed with. We've got 2 sow farms, and we'll go back and forth, and we'll share ideas. And I can tell you that the other farm that Thomas Livestock has helped push me to be better, and I hope that I've done the same with them. Here's a picture of our crew as we were actually celebrating and having pizza that day. And as we took this picture, Larry came through. We took the picture, and then we realized that we did have 2 people napping. And, of course, we had a person in the farrowing house taking care of the pigs. That's why Alejandro, who you saw, is not in this picture. He was there taking care of the pigs. But just really proud of the crew. When we started this farm, we had 4 experienced people, and we've just grown them up. These guys are people that really care about what they're doing.